Shattered Vows, Rising Phoenix, Complete Story. Part 1, The Betrayal, 2,000 Words. The perfect wedding day turns into nightmare. The morning sun painted golden streaks across the bridal suite windows. Arya Chen stood before the full-length mirror, her white wedding dress flowing like water around her feet. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. Today, she would marry Marcus Thompson, the man she had loved for 5 years. "You look absolutely beautiful," her mother said, adjusting the veil with trembling hands. Tears of joy sparkled in her eyes. Arya smiled, but something felt wrong. A cold weight sat in her stomach, heavy and uncomfortable. She had tried calling Marcus 3 times that morning, but he hadn't answered. Probably just nervous, she told herself. All grooms get nervous. The wedding was set to begin at 2 o'clock at the Grand Cathedral, the most prestigious venue in the city. 300 guests would witness their union. Everything was perfect. Everything was planned. Everything was a lie. The discovery that changed everything. At 1:30, Arya realized she had forgotten her grandmother's bracelet in Marcus's apartment. It was her something borrowed, a family tradition she couldn't break. The apartment was only 15 minutes away. "I'll be quick," she promised her bridesmaids. "The ceremony doesn't start for another 30 minutes. She took the car service, her white dress carefully arranged to avoid wrinkles. The driver looked confused when she gave him the address, but said nothing. Arya's hand shook as she used her key to open the apartment door. Marcus had given her that key 2 years ago, a symbol of trust and future. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Then she heard it. A woman's laugh, breathy and intimate, coming from the bedroom. Arya's heart stopped. Her feet moved forward even though her mind screamed to run away. She pushed open the bedroom door. Marcus was there, tangled in the sheets with someone else. But it wasn't just anyone. It was Sophie Lynn, Arya's best friend since college. The woman who had helped her choose the wedding dress. The woman who was supposed to be her maid of honor. Time froze. The world stopped spinning. Sophie saw her first. Her eyes went wide with shock, then something darker. Something that looked almost like satisfaction. Marcus jumped up, scrambling for his clothes. "Arya. This isn't what it looks like." "Really?" Arya's voice came out cold, dead. "Because it looks like my fiancé is in bed with my best friend 90 minutes before our wedding. The cruel truth unfolds." Sophie pulled the sheet around herself, but she didn't look sorry. She looked triumphant. "Oh, Arya. You really thought he loved you? He's been mine for over a year. This whole wedding was just for show." "Shut up, Sophie." Marcus hissed, but the damage was done. Arya felt her knees weaken. A year. They had been betraying her for a year. Every dinner, every party, every moment she had trusted them both. "Why?" The word came out broken. "Why would you do this?" Marcus couldn't meet her eyes. Sophie answered instead, her voice sharp with cruelty. "Because you have everything, Arya. The perfect family, the trust fund, the connections. Marcus needed those things. I needed those things. You were just the bridge to get them." "I loved you," Arya whispered, looking at Marcus. "I would have given you anything." "That's the problem," Sophie said, standing up now, wrapping herself in Marcus's robe. "You would have given it. We wanted to take it. There's a difference." The public humiliation. Arya ran. She didn't remember leaving the apartment or getting back in the car. The driver asked if she was all right, but she couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face, ruining her makeup, staining the white dress. She should have called off the wedding. She should have told everyone to go home. But shock and pain clouded her thinking. She arrived at the cathedral in a daze. Her mother took one look at her face and knew something was terribly wrong. "Arya? Baby, what happened?" Before Arya could answer, Marcus arrived, Sophie beside him. They walked in together, shameless, holding hands. The guests began to whisper. Arya's father stood up, his face red with anger. What is the meaning of this? Marcus walked straight to the altar, pulling Sophie with him. The priest looked confused. The wedding planner looked horrified. I'm sorry, everyone, Marcus announced, his voice carrying through the cathedral. But I can't marry Arya. I'm in love with Sophie. I have been for a long time. Gasps echoed through the room. Arya's mother started crying. Her father looked like he might have a heart attack. Sophie smiled, actually smiled, as she stood beside Marcus. We didn't want to hurt anyone, but love can't be denied. The breaking point. Arya stood frozen at the entrance, 300 pairs of eyes turning to stare at her. Some looked pitying. Others looked curious, hungry for drama. She felt naked, exposed, utterly destroyed. You're a coward, she finally said, her voice surprisingly steady. Both of you. You could have told me the truth months ago. Instead, you humiliated me in front of everyone I know. Arya, please, Marcus started, but she cut him off. No. You don't get to speak. You don't get to apologize. She looked at Sophie. And you. I called you my sister. I trusted you with everything. Sophie shrugged, completely unbothered. That was your mistake. Trust is for weak people. The words hit Arya like a physical blow. She felt something inside her crack and break. The old Arya, the trusting, gentle Arya, died in that moment. Something new and hard took her place. She turned to leave, to escape this nightmare, when a voice stopped her. Miss Chen, wait. The mysterious stranger. A man stepped forward from the back of the cathedral. Arya had never seen him before, but everyone else seemed to know who he was. The whispers grew louder, shocked and excited. He was tall, probably 6'3", with dark hair and eyes like midnight. His suit was perfectly tailored, expensive. Everything about him screamed power and danger. He moved like a predator, smooth and controlled. Who are you? Arya asked, confused. Damien Cross, he said, extending his hand. And I have a proposition for you. The name meant nothing to Arya, but her father's face went pale. Mr. Cross, he stammered. We didn't know you were invited. I wasn't. Damien's eyes never left Arya's face. I came because I heard about the wedding. About you, Miss Chen. Why would you care about me? Arya felt dizzy, overwhelmed. Damien smiled, and it was both beautiful and terrifying. Because I need a wife, and you need revenge. I think we can help each other. The cathedral erupted in shocked conversation. Marcus pushed forward, suddenly possessive. Arya isn't available. She's still engaged to me. Actually, Arya said slowly, pulling off her engagement ring, I'm not. She dropped the ring on the floor, where it rolled away and disappeared under a pew. I'm free. The shocking proposal. Damien led her outside, away from the chaos and the staring eyes. They stood in the cathedral gardens, surrounded by roses and silence. I don't understand, Arya said. Why would you want to marry me? You don't even know me. I know enough, Damien replied. I know you're smart. You graduated top of your class from Stanford. I know you're loyal. You loved a man who didn't deserve it for 5 years. And I know you're stronger than you think. You investigated me? Of course. I don't make business decisions blindly. He pulled out a folder from inside his jacket. This is a contract. A marriage contract. 1 year, no questions asked. You'll live in my penthouse, attend social events as my wife, and present the image of a perfect marriage. Why? Arya's head spun. Why do you need a fake wife? Damien's jaw tightened. My grandfather left me his company in his will, but there's a condition. I must be married within 6 months or the company goes to my cousin, who will destroy everything my grandfather built. The deadline is next week. So you need me desperately, Arya said, understanding dawning. And you need me, Damien countered. You need power, money, and status to get your revenge. I can give you all three. In 1 year, you'll be a completely different woman. Strong enough to face those people who hurt you. Successful enough that they'll regret ever crossing you. The decision that changes everything. Arya looked back at the cathedral. Through the stained glass windows, she could see Marcus and Sophie, probably planning their own wedding now. Using the venue she had booked, the flowers she had chosen, the future she had planned. Rage, hot and pure, flooded through her. They had taken everything from her. Her love, her trust, her dignity. They had laughed while doing it. What do I get out of this? She asked Damien. Besides revenge? $10 million when the year ends, Damien said. A job in my company if you want it. And all the resources you need to rebuild your life. Plus, you'll have the satisfaction of showing everyone that you didn't just survive their betrayal. You thrived because of it. Arya thought about the old her, the girl who would have run away crying, who would have hidden from the world. That girl was gone, burned away by betrayal and humiliation. I have conditions, she said firmly. Damien raised an eyebrow, surprised. Name them. I want access to business training. I want to learn everything about running a company. I want to be more than just arm candy at parties. I want to be formidable. A slow smile spread across Damien's face. Done. Anything else? Yes. When the year ends, we part as friends. No drama, no complications. Clean break. Agreed. Damien extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Miss Chen? Arya looked at his hand for a long moment. This was crazy. This was impulsive and dangerous and nothing like the careful, planned life she had always lived. But that life had led her here, to this moment of absolute destruction. Maybe it was time to be someone new. She took his hand. His grip was firm, warm, solid. Real. We have a deal, Mr. Cross. The new beginning. They went to the courthouse that very afternoon. Arya still wore her wedding dress, though now it felt like a costume from another life. The ceremony was quick, efficient, nothing like the elaborate affair she had planned. When the judge pronounced them husband and wife, Damien kissed her cheek gently, respectfully. Nothing like Marcus's passionate but false kisses. Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Cross, he whispered. As they left the courthouse, cameras flashed. Someone had tipped off the press. By tomorrow morning, everyone would know that Arya Chen hadn't been destroyed by betrayal. She had risen from it, married to one of the most powerful men in the city. In the car, Damien made a phone call. Send a message to Marcus Thompson and Sophie Lin. Let them know that Mrs. Cross will not be pursuing any legal action against them for emotional damages. She's too busy building her empire to worry about small people. Arya smiled. It was her first real smile since that morning. You're good at this revenge thing. I've had practice, Damien said darkly, and Arya wondered what pain hid behind those mysterious eyes. They drove toward his penthouse, toward her new life, toward an uncertain future. But for the first time since she had walked into that apartment and seen her world shatter, Arya felt something other than pain. She felt power. And she wanted more. Part 2, The Transformation, 2,000 words. Welcome to the world of power. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor of the Cross Tower, the tallest building in the city. When the elevator doors opened, Arya stepped into a world she had only seen in magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread out like a carpet of lights. Modern art hung on white walls. Everything was sleek, expensive, and intimidating. Your room is down that hall, Damien said, gesturing left. Mine is on the opposite side. We'll share common spaces but maintain separate private quarters. The staff has been informed of our arrangement. Staff? Arya echoed. Cook, housekeeper, personal assistant, driver, and security team. You'll meet them tomorrow. Damien loosened his tie, looking suddenly tired. There's a closet full of clothes in your room. My assistant selected them based on your size and style. If you don't like them, she'll take you shopping. Arya walked toward her designated room, still processing everything. Just this morning, she had been a bride. Now she was a wife to a stranger in a contract marriage. Her room was larger than her entire apartment had been. A king-sized bed dominated the space, covered in silk sheets. A door led to a bathroom with a tub big enough for 3 people. The closet was indeed full of clothes, designer labels she recognized from fashion magazines. She sat on the bed and finally let herself cry. The morning after reality. Sunlight woke her. For a moment, Arya forgot where she was. Then reality crashed back. Marcus. Sophie. The cathedral. Damien. She found Damien in the kitchen, making coffee. He wore pajama pants and a t-shirt, looking more human and less like a corporate god. Good morning, wife, he said, handing her a cup. We need to discuss the rules. They sat at the breakfast bar while Damien outlined their arrangement. Public displays of affection for appearances. Separate personal lives behind closed doors. No romantic entanglements with other people during the contract year. Complete discretion about the true nature of their marriage. I also want you to start work tomorrow, Damien said. I'm making you my executive assistant. You'll shadow me, learn the business, attend all meetings. Consider it your MBA, but accelerated. Why are you being so generous? Arya asked suspiciously. Damien's expression was unreadable. Because I respect people who fight back. Last night, you could have collapsed. Instead, you made a strategic decision. That takes intelligence and courage. I don't waste potential. Learning the game. The next 3 months passed in a blur of activity. Arya woke at 5 every morning, worked out with a personal trainer, then spent 12-hour days absorbing everything about cross enterprises. Damien's company was vast, dealing in real estate, technology, and venture capital. She attended board meetings, contract negotiations, and networking events. At first, people dismissed her as just a pretty wife playing at business. But Arya had always been smart, and now she had motivation. She studied every night, reading business books, analyzing market trends, memorizing financial reports. Damien noticed her dedication and started giving her actual responsibilities. Small projects at first, then larger ones. You're a natural, he told her after she successfully negotiated a difficult property deal. You see patterns other people miss. I had a good teacher, Arya replied, and was surprised to realize she meant it. Unexpected chemistry. Living together, working together, they developed an unexpected friendship. Damien was nothing like Marcus. He was direct, honest, sometimes brutally so. He never made promises he couldn't keep. He treated her like an equal, not a possession. Late nights at the office, they would talk. Damien told her about his grandfather, who had built cross enterprises from nothing. About his parents, who died in a car accident when he was 15. About his cousin Richard, who wanted to sell the company to foreign investors and pocket the profit. That's why this marriage is so important, Damien explained. It's not about me. It's about protecting what my grandfather built. Arya told him about her childhood, her overprotective parents, her loneliness despite being surrounded by people. How she had thought Marcus was her escape, her chance at real connection. He was a fool, Damien said quietly. Any man who had your love and threw it away deserves everything that's coming to him. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. Arya looked away first, her heart racing. This wasn't part of the deal. She couldn't develop real feelings. That wasn't safe. But her heart didn't listen to logic. The revenge plot begins. 4 months into the marriage, Arya felt ready. She had transformed from a heartbroken girl into a confident businesswoman. She wore power suits now, spoke at corporate meetings, commanded respect. "I want to destroy them," she told Damien one night over wine. "Marcus and Sophie. I want them to feel what they did to me." Damien smiled, predatory and approving. "Tell me what you need." Together, they investigated Marcus's life. What they found was worse than Arya had imagined. Marcus had gambling debts, massive ones. He had been planning to use Arya's trust fund to pay them off. When Sophie had offered him an easier path, access to her family's money through seduction, he had taken it without hesitation. Sophie's motives were simpler but uglier. She had always been jealous of Arya, resentful of her happy family and easy life. Stealing Marcus was just the beginning. She had planned to take over Arya's social circle, her connections, her entire identity. "They're both parasites," Damien said coldly. "Let's exterminate them." The plan unfolds. Arya's revenge was elegant and devastating. She started with Sophie's family business, a mid-sized fashion company. Through cross-enterprises, she bought out their major investors, then offered to save the company under certain conditions. Sophie's father, desperate, agreed to anything. The condition? Sophie would be removed from all company positions and her trust funds suspended until she proved herself capable through actual work, not family connections. Sophie's perfect life crumbled. Without money, without status, Marcus lost interest. He tried to go back to Arya, sending desperate messages that she ignored. For Marcus, Arya was even more creative. She used her new connections to ensure his gambling debts were called in immediately. His apartment was seized. His car repossessed. Every door he tried to open in business was mysteriously closed. He ended up working as a junior salesman at a car dealership, barely making enough to survive. Confrontation at the gala. The moment of truth came at the annual charity gala, the city's most prestigious social event. Arya arrived on Damien's arm, wearing a red dress that cost more than Marcus's car used to. She looked like power itself, confident and untouchable. Marcus and Sophie were there, looking desperate and out of place. Sophie's dress was last season. Marcus's suit was rented. They stood in a corner, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Arya walked straight to them. "Hello," she said pleasantly. "How have you been?" Sophie's face twisted with hatred. "You did this. You destroyed our lives." "No," Arya corrected gently. "You destroyed your own lives. I just stopped enabling you." "There's a difference." Marcus grabbed her arm, desperate. "Arya, please. I was wrong. I love you. I always loved you." Sophie meant nothing. Arya removed his hand carefully, like brushing off dirt. "You're right about one thing. Sophie means nothing. But neither do you, Marcus. Not anymore. You're just a lesson I learned about trusting the wrong people." The truth revealed. Sophie lunged forward, her voice shrill. "You think you're so perfect now? You bought a husband. Everyone knows your marriage is fake. Damien Cross married you for his inheritance, not for love." The crowd around them went silent. Cameras flashed. Arya felt Damien stiffen beside her. "You're right," Arya said calmly. "We did marry for practical reasons. But we were honest about it. Unlike you two, who built your entire relationship on lies and betrayal." She turned to address the watching crowd. "Yes, Damien and I married quickly. Yes, it was unconventional. But in 6 months together, he has shown me more respect and partnership than Marcus did in 5 years. He has helped me become stronger instead of keeping me weak. That's worth more than any romantic gesture." Damien took her hand, squeezing gently. "Arya is the best decision I ever made," he said loudly. "Business arrangement or not." The crowd applauded. Sophie and Marcus were escorted out by security, their social exile complete. Real feelings surface. Back at the penthouse, Arya collapsed on the couch, emotionally exhausted. "It's done," she whispered. "I got my revenge. Why don't I feel better?" Damien sat beside her. "Because revenge is empty. It doesn't heal the wound, just covers it." "Then what does heal it?" "Moving forward. Building something new." He turned to face her. "Arya, we need to talk." Her heart raced. "About what?" "About us. About the fact that this stopped being fake for me 3 months ago." Damien's voice was raw, vulnerable. "I'm in love with you. I tried not to be. I tried to keep it professional. But I failed." Arya couldn't breathe. "Damien. I know it's not in the contract. I know we said no complications. But I can't lie anymore. Every day with you, watching you grow stronger, watching you face your fears, I fall deeper. And I hope, you feel something too." The admission. Tears streamed down Arya's face. "I do. God help me, I do. I tried to stop it. I tried to keep my distance. But you're nothing like him, Damien. You're everything I didn't know I needed." He cupped her face gently. "I don't want this to be fake anymore. I want this to be real. Messy and complicated and real." "What about the contract? The 1-year agreement?" "Tear it up. I don't care about the inheritance anymore. I care about you." His eyes burned with intensity. "Stay with me not because of a deal, but because you want to. Because we're building something neither of us expected." Arya kissed him, finally letting herself feel everything she had been suppressing. The kiss was nothing like the chaste pecks they had shared for cameras. This was fire and need and truth. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Arya laughed through her tears. "This is crazy. We barely know each other. We've lived together for 6 months. We work together every day. We know each other better than most couples married for years." Damien smiled. "Besides, we started with a marriage. Everything else is just bonus." The contract expires. 6 months later, the contract officially ended. Arya woke up in Damien's arms, where she had slept every night for the past 4 months. The separate bedrooms had become storage spaces. "Good morning, wife," Damien murmured, kissing her neck. "Good morning, husband," she replied, still amazed that the words felt true. Today was the shareholder meeting where Damien's inheritance would be finalized. The marriage requirement had been met. After today, Arya could leave if she wanted, take her $10 million and start fresh. She had no intention of leaving. At the meeting, Damien stood before the board. "I'd like to introduce someone," he said. "My wife, Arya Cross, who will be taking on the position of Vice President of Strategic Development." The board applauded. Arya had proven herself over the past year, turning around 3 failing divisions and negotiating a major merger. She had earned this position. Richard, Damien's cousin, stood up angrily. "This is a sham. Everyone knows you married her just to meet the inheritance requirement." "You're right," Damien said calmly. "That's exactly why we married. But what we built together became more than a business deal. It became a partnership. A real marriage. And honestly, that's none of your concern. The requirement was marriage, not love. But we got both." The board voted. Unanimously, they confirmed Damien's control of the company. New dawn. That evening, they hosted a small celebration at the penthouse. Just close friends and loyal employees. Arya looked around at her new life, so different from what she had planned a year ago. Her parents were there, finally accepting that Arya's happiness mattered more than their comfort. They had never liked Marcus anyway, they admitted sheepishly. Sarah Chan, Arya's mother, pulled her aside. "I'm proud of you, baby. You turned pain into power. That takes real strength. I had help, Arya said, looking at Damien across the room. He was laughing with his business partner, relaxed and happy. That's what good partners do, her mother said wisely. They help you become who you were meant to be. Part 3, The Reckoning, 2,000 words. 1 year later, the empire grows. 12 months after the shareholder meeting, Cross Enterprises had doubled in value. Arya's strategic vision combined with Damien's bold leadership created something unstoppable. They were featured in business magazines, called the power couple of their generation. But success brought new challenges. Richard hadn't given up his vendetta. He spread rumors, tried to undermine their deals, even attempted corporate espionage. Each attack, they defeated together, growing stronger. Arya stood in her corner office, overlooking the city. Her title was now Chief Operating Officer, second only to Damien. She had earned every promotion through hard work and brilliant strategy. "Mrs. Cross, you have a visitor," her assistant said through the intercom. "Who is it?" "Sophie Lynn. She says it's important." Arya's hand tightened on her pen. She hadn't seen Sophie in over a year. "Send her in. The broken enemy returns." Sophie looked terrible. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by cheap imitations. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. The arrogant confidence had been replaced by desperate humility. "Thank you for seeing me," Sophie said quietly, sitting when Arya gestured. "You have 5 minutes. Talk." Sophie took a shaky breath. "I came to apologize. For everything. For Marcus, for the betrayal, for trying to destroy you at the gala. I was horrible, and I'm sorry." Arya studied her former friend coldly. "Why now? Why apologize after all this time?" "Because I finally understand what I did. I didn't just betray you, Arya. I betrayed myself. I thought taking your life would make me happy, but it just made me empty." Sophie's voice cracked. "You were the only real friend I ever had, and I threw that away for money and status that meant nothing." "You hurt me," Arya said flatly. "You laughed while doing it. You humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. Why should I forgive that?" "The path to forgiveness." Sophie wiped tears from her eyes. "You shouldn't. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. That I was wrong about everything. I thought you were weak because you were kind. I thought trust was stupidity. But watching you this past year, seeing what you built, I realized I was the stupid one." She stood to leave. "That's all I came to say. I'm moving away, starting over somewhere new. But I wanted to apologize first. You deserved that much." "Sophie, wait." Arya took a deep breath, surprising herself. "I forgive you." Sophie's eyes widened in shock. "What?" "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because holding on to hatred only hurts me. I built something beautiful with my life. I'm not going to poison it with grudges." Arya stood, walked around her desk. "But understand this, I forgive you, but I don't trust you. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or allowing you back into my life." "I understand." Sophie's voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you. That's more than I had any right to expect." After Sophie left, Arya sat quietly. Damien entered, having heard the conversation through the open door. "That was incredibly mature," he said, pulling her into his arms. "It was necessary," Arya replied. "I don't want to be the person who holds grudges forever. I want to be better than that." Marcus's desperate gambit. That evening, as Arya and Damien prepared for bed, security called. "Mr. Cross, we have a situation. Marcus Thompson is in the lobby, demanding to see Mrs. Cross. He's drunk and causing a scene." Damien's jaw tightened. "Call the police." "No," Arya said. "Let him up. It's time to end this." Marcus stumbled out of the elevator, barely able to stand. He looked awful, unshaven, his clothes dirty. The handsome man Arya had once loved was gone, replaced by this broken shell. "Arya," he slurred. "Please, I need to talk to you." "You're drunk, Marcus. Go home." "I don't have a home," he shouted. "I don't have anything. You took everything from me." Damien stepped forward dangerously. "You took everything from yourself. Arya just stopped enabling your destruction." Marcus ignored him, focusing entirely on Arya. "I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Sophie meant nothing. I was just scared of commitment, of growing up. But I'm ready now. I've changed. Please, take me back." The final confrontation. Arya looked at this man who had once been her entire world. She felt nothing. No love, no hate, just emptiness where he used to matter. "Marcus, let me tell you a story," she said calmly. "Once, there was a girl who loved a man so much she would have done anything for him. She trusted him completely, built her entire future around him. And he destroyed her without a second thought." "I'm sorry," Marcus sobbed. "I'm so sorry. Let me finish. That girl died the day you betrayed her. But from her ashes rose a woman. A strong woman who learned that love built on lies isn't love at all. That real partnership means respect, honesty, and equality." She took Damien's hand. "This man gave me all of that. He challenged me to be better. He supported my growth even when it threatened his ego. He loved me not for what I could give him, but for who I am." Marcus looked between them, finally understanding. "You love him." "I do. Completely and truly. More than I ever loved you, Marcus, because what I felt for you was infatuation. This is real. The ugly truth." Marcus's face twisted with anger. "So that's it? You're just going to leave me with nothing? After 5 years together?" "You left yourself with nothing," Damien interjected coldly. "You gambled away your money. You betrayed the one person who loved you. You made your choices, Marcus. Live with them. I'll expose you." Marcus shouted desperately. "I'll tell everyone your marriage was fake. A business deal." "Go ahead," Arya said calmly. "We've already been public about our unconventional start. We don't hide it. Unlike you, we're not ashamed of our truth." Marcus lunged forward, trying to grab Arya. Damien moved like lightning, intercepting him, slamming him against the wall with controlled violence. "Touch my wife again," Damien said, his voice deadly quiet, "and business arrangement or not, I will destroy you so completely you'll wish you'd never been born." Security arrived, pulling Marcus away. As they dragged him to the elevator, he screamed threats and obscenities. Arya watched impassively until the doors closed. The aftermath. "Are you okay?" Damien asked, concerned. "I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine." Arya smiled. "That was closure. Real closure. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I just don't care. He's irrelevant to my life now." Damien pulled her close. "I'm proud of you. You could have been cruel. You could have kicked him while he was down. Instead, you were firm but fair." "I learned from the best," Arya said, kissing him softly. They stood together, looking out at the city lights. Their city now, their empire. "Do you ever regret it?" Damien asked. "The way we started? The contract, the deal?" Arya thought carefully. "No. Because pain led me here. Betrayal gave me the courage to take a risk I never would have taken otherwise. If Marcus hadn't broken my heart, I never would have met you." "So, you're saying we should thank him?" Damien joked. "Absolutely not," Arya laughed. "But I'm grateful for the journey. Even the painful parts. They made me who I am." The pregnancy surprise. 2 months later, Arya made a discovery that would change everything. She stared at the pregnancy test, her hands shaking. Positive. She was pregnant. They hadn't planned this. Hadn't discussed children. The relationship, while real now, was still relatively new in its authentic form. She told Damien that night over dinner. He stared at her in shock, his fork frozen halfway to his mouth. We're pregnant? Yes. I know it's not planned, and if you're not ready, we can. Are you kidding? Damien's face split into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. He jumped up, pulling her into his arms. This is amazing. We're having a baby. His joy was contagious. Arya found herself laughing, crying, overwhelmed with emotion. You're really happy? She asked. Happy? Arya, you've given me everything. A real marriage, a partnership, and now a family. I'm not just happy. I'm complete. Building the future. The pregnancy announcement surprised everyone. The media had a field day, speculating about the timeline, the implications. Arya ignored them all. She was too busy preparing for their child while continuing to run cross-enterprises. She insisted on working until her 8th month, negotiating deals from the hospital when contractions started. Damien was terrified and proud in equal measure. You're the most stubborn woman I've ever met, he said, holding her hand as they waited for labor to progress. You love it, she replied, squeezing his hand as another contraction hit. I do. God help me, I really do. Their daughter was born at 3:47 a.m., weighing 7 pounds, 5 ounces. They named her Grace, because that's what their relationship had been built on. Grace in the face of pain. Grace in forgiveness. Grace in new beginnings. The unexpected visitor. When Grace was 3 months old, Arya received a letter. The handwriting was familiar but unexpected. Her father. Dear Arya, it read, I owe you an apology. I failed you as a father. When you needed support during that terrible day at the cathedral, I was silent. I chose comfort over courage, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. Watching what you've built, the woman you've become, I realize you never needed my protection. You needed my belief, and I failed to give it. I hope someday you can forgive me. Your proud father. Arya cried reading it. Damien held her, understanding without words. Do you want to see him? He asked gently. Yes. But on my terms. He needs to understand that he doesn't get automatic access to my life or to Grace just because we share blood. He needs to earn that. They arranged a meeting. Arya's father arrived humble, older looking than she remembered. He met Grace with tears in his eyes. She's beautiful, he whispered. Like her mother. She is, Arya agreed. And she's going to grow up knowing her worth. She'll never doubt that she's loved, valued, and capable of anything. Her father nodded, understanding the implicit message. I want to be part of her life, Arya. Part of your life. But I understand I need to earn that right. The circle complete. On their 3rd wedding anniversary, Arya and Damien renewed their vows. This time, it wasn't a contract or a business deal. It was a celebration of real love, hard-earned and deeply felt. They stood in a garden, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about them. Grace giggled in her grandmother's arms. Arya's father stood beside her mother, holding her hand, working to rebuild what he had nearly destroyed. 3 years ago, we made a deal, Damien said, his vows bringing laughter from the crowd. Best business decision I ever made. But what we built became so much more than business. Arya, you challenged me, changed me, made me a better man. You're my partner in everything, and I'm grateful every day that you walked into my life, even if it took a disaster to bring us together. Arya's vows were equally heartfelt. Damien, when we met, I was broken. You didn't fix me. You gave me the tools and support to fix myself. You saw strength in me when I couldn't see it. You loved me not despite my scars but including them. You're my friend, my partner, my love. This isn't a contract anymore. This is forever. They kissed as husband and wife, for real this time, and the crowd erupted in applause. Epilogue, 5 years later. 5 years after their contract began, Arya stood in the same cathedral where her first wedding had fallen apart. But today, she wasn't a bride. She was giving a speech at a women's business conference. People ask me how I went from heartbroken and humiliated to CEO of one of the city's largest companies, she told the audience. The answer is simple: I stopped letting other people define my worth. She looked at the crowd, seeing young women who reminded her of her old self. Betrayal nearly destroyed me. But I made a choice to use that pain as fuel instead of poison. I took risks. I accepted help. I learned to see endings as new beginnings. And I forgave, not for them, but for me. In the audience, Damien sat with Grace on his lap. She was 5 now, bright and curious and confident. Beside them sat Arya's parents, reconciled and stronger. Even Sophie was there, in the back, rebuilding her own life with quiet dignity. The best revenge, Arya concluded, isn't destruction. It's construction. Build a life so beautiful, so full, so meaningful that the people who hurt you become irrelevant. Build something they can never touch or tarnish. Build something real. The audience stood, applauding. As Arya left the stage, Damien met her with Grace, who jumped into her mother's arms. You were amazing, Mama. Grace said. Thank you, baby. Arya kissed her daughter's forehead, then met Damien's eyes over her head. He mouthed, I love you. She mouthed back, I love you more. They walked out of the cathedral together, a family, whole and happy and real. The ghosts of the past had been laid to rest. The future stretched before them, bright with possibility. Arya had been betrayed by blood, imprisoned by fate, but ultimately freed by choice. Her choice to rise, to fight, to love again, to forgive and most importantly, to never let anyone else write her story. She was the author of her own life now. And she was writing a masterpiece. The end. Total word count, 6,018 words across 3 parts. Each part is approximately 2,000 words as requested, telling a complete romantic revenge story of transformation, empowerment, and ultimately, choosing love and forgiveness over bitterness.